Hi there, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us tonight at UpNorthLive Unscripted. It's been another kind of dreary day. A lot of clouds out there, a lot of rain, but as Joe told us yesterday, that rain could finally turn into some snow for some of us. Right, Joe? Not all of us.
Yeah, we have a big area.
Yeah, a lot of counties.
Thousands of square miles. But yes, there is certainly the chance of some snow. It's one of those mornings for at least a few areas, Maya, tomorrow. This is not something you're going to remember in March, but, where you're going to have to just, get those slide offs and those situations. So we'll have to be a little careful tomorrow because sometimes, I've noticed you don't need a foot. You just need an inch or two of snow to make it kind of messy. So we do have that in the forecast. It's mainly just rain right now, but that'll switch over tonight. We'll take a look at that, how much kind of where, and then a look ahead toward Thanksgiving Eve all the way through next Wednesday, a little later.
All right, sounds good, Joe. And let's start off with a story in Traverse City. So officials with Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City, they took a step in launching their terminal expansion plan. So that is a picture of the render of what the expansion plan could look like. So yesterday, the Northwest Regional Airport Authority unanimously approved an intent resolution for the project. Now, the estimated cost is about $112.8 million. It is scheduled to begin in 2026 and expected to be completed in 2028. So for more on this step in the expansion project, let's turn things over to our guest today, the CEO of Cherry Capital Airport, Kevin Klein. Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So can you give us a little more information on exactly what this intent resolution is and what's the significance of it?
Well, certainly it's a notice of intent resolution because we'll be looking to issue bonds for the project. As you said, it's $112.8 million. Overall estimated with contingencies and everything, we're using a round number of $120 million, for which we'll see about 50% of that funded through grants through the FAA Airport Improvement Program, which that's funded through airline tickets. And that money comes back to the airport from those that utilize the airport based on passengers getting on board. So we'll see 50% of the project funded through those funds. And then the other 50% will be funded through bond proceeds, which will be sold. And so the entire project will be paid for by airport users. No local payers will use. When we're talking about the notice of intent, what that does is it provides notice to the public that says we're going to do a bond issue. And when you do that, per the Michigan Revenue Act, that you have to notify the public so that the electors can, if needed, want to go out and do.
Kevin, we're having some hard time hearing you. You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
So that was the first step.
I'm going to wait because I'm hoping your video will kind of like catch up to your audio. Okay, let's try this again. So I heard most of that. There was a little bit, though, that did cut in and out.
Right.
What's that?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me any better?
It's so frustrating because like I can hear you and see you fine for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden it gets a little fuzzy and blurry, and your audio gets a little messy. So let's try this again, and if it doesn't work, then we'll have to try it again on a different day. But I will ask you a follow-up question, and let's just talk about how important this expansion is and how much it's needed.
One second. Let me see if I can change something really quick.
This is what Unscripted is all about, people. We're just kind of
see if that will change it. Does that make a difference with our?
You sound good right now.
Audio.
I can hear.
You hear me now?
Yeah. You sound good.
Okay, can you hear me now? Because I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now. I think. Gotta love technology.
Okay, great. Are we back connected?
I think so. My only concern now is that I feel like there might be a little bit of delay. So let's try this. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just have to try to bring you back in a little later.
Okay. I can hear you now. So I could start on. So where we left off with the notice of intent.
Yep. And so really the notice of intent was just the first phase of this project, right? Like the first step. Okay, Kevin, I'm so sorry, but I think we're having some technical difficulties. So we'll try to work that out because I know I'm intrigued to learn more about this expansion project. And we're also hopefully going to talk to Kevin about what they expect to see for the holidays because Thanksgiving's right around the corner and Christmas. And usually airports get a little busy. So hopefully we'll try to figure things out and either bring Kevin back in a little later on tonight, or if not, maybe worst case scenario, we'll have to bring him on another night and talk a little more about the expansion project and holiday travel. But let's turn things over to our question of the day, which is related to traveling. So what airport do you typically fly out of? Scan that QR code on your screen right now to vote. Our options are Traverse City, Detroit Metro, Grand Rapids, or Chicago. And as of right now, we have 214 votes. 56% say Traverse City, 23% say Grand Rapids, 20% Detroit, and 1% Chicago. So we will continue to keep an eye on those live results for our question of the day, and we'll take a look at them a little later. But let's turn things over to a local story that our reporter Daniel Zivian is working on today. So state representatives are trying to close a tax loophole that they say it's used by wealthy corporations and especially big box retailers. They say it's costing local government services more than $2 billion. So here is Daniel Zivian with the full story.
Lawmakers call it the dark store theory, a legal argument with disastrous consequences.
It's difficult to know the exact extent of the problem because communities don't have the resources to enter into court battles with these big box stores. And so they end up settling their appeal. We believe that the lost revenue is likely in excess of $2 billion.
Retailers tell the Michigan Tax Tribunal that functioning stores should be assessed the same as vacant ones, significantly lowering property taxes and changing the calculations around local programs. In Marquette, the UP's largest library is now closed on Sundays.
And what happened back in 2015 is that Lowe's filed a tax appeal valued at $755,000. It's forced our leaders to reallocate and reassess vital funding to ensure that we're able to stay above water and having to cut these programs at our libraries, our schools, and in our city.
Hill, Brixey, and local Republican John Roth are all co-sponsors of a bill package to end the practice, which goes beyond retail. A Southwest Michigan school is facing $1 million plus revenue loss after a dispute with Indiana Michigan Power.
It will impact our administrators, our teachers, our programming, athletics, curriculum, transportation, all of the things that make our district one of the top 5% performing districts in the state.
The reps say their goal is to get the bills heard and passed this December. Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
And we did reach out to local school districts and libraries in northern Michigan to see if this tax loophole was impacting them. The ones that did get back to us say it's not really impacting them right now in terms of what they are aware of. So turning over to another local story, actually, I'm hearing that we do have Kevin Klein back with Cherry Capital Airport. He's on his phone this time. So let's bring him in again and hopefully continue our conversation about the airport expansion plan. Hi, Kevin. Again.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry about that.
Hey, that's okay.
Technology.
Yeah, right? Like, there's a beautiful thing about having a digital show where we can bring in guests from all over, but there's also some downsides because you can never fully trust technology these days.
Well, you were asking about the notice of intent when we last talked. And so the Airport Authority Board last night approved the notice of intent. And just in summary, what it is to tell the public that we're going out for bonds. Mm-hmm. And it allows the public then, if they want to do a referendum and bring in signatures, to have the bonds go to a public vote. And so that is a requirement by state law for all bond projects. And so that will take place over the next 45 days. The reason we did it this soon is to, in case we do need to go to a vote, then we'd have proper timing to continue with design of the project and other things to have that election and then be able to come back and, hopefully have a bond passed at that time. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for approximately $60 million for construction fees And then with fees for issuing the bond, the total bond issue would be 71 million. And so we're doing this as a cap to say these are our max costs for the project. Our goal then between now and putting shovels in the ground is to be able to go out and get successful bids that would be lower than those caps and really provide an awesome project for our community.
So can you talk a little bit more about the project? What exactly would this expansion include?
Well, we like to call it more of an addition because it's a terminal building addition. A lot of people think when you talk expansion, you're talking about taking the airport four corners, so to speak, and growing that footprint. And we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
All we're doing is adding to our building. We're adding 4 gates with the potential of 5 on that concourse. So we're going to call it the B concourse. It will increase the square footage of the building to handle the volume of travelers that we're processing today. So the current terminal was designed for 350,000 annual passengers, and we're exceeding 700,000, our record set in 2023. And in 2024, we're already exceeding that by 11%. So we're continuing to grow, but when we build a terminal, it's for the number of passengers using it today. The FAA, unfortunately, doesn't allow us to build for future forecasts. We have to build for today. So we're excited that we're going to be able to continue the theme of the terminal building with that Frank Lloyd Wright architecture, the prairie style, and really incorporate a lot of northern Michigan into it. And the airport authority would like to kind of indicate that this would be more like the Sleeping Bear Dunes, setting. And so we're going to incorporate those themes into the building.
And so approving the intent resolution was kind of the first step. What are the next steps moving forward?
So we're going to be going through a design process, 30% design. Will be coming in soon, and we'll be presenting that to our board. And then after that, we'll hire what's called a construction manager at risk. We'll break the project down into phases, and each phase will be bid separately. And so we'll be working on that, and that will be taking us through the summer. And then when final bids come in, we'll do the final financing package. And then as we preliminarily receive the full faith and credit pledge from Grand Traverse County, we'll look for the final pledge in the fall, which helps us get a great bond rating and reduce costs. Again, this is not for taxpayer funding. There's no taxpayers. This just helps us get reduced costs. And so we'll be looking for that full faith and credit. And then shovels in the ground in 2026. With about an 18 to 24 month completion.
And we know that there's a public forum that's going to be held on December 3rd related to the addition project. What exactly will happen at the public forum, and what's the goal of that?
Well, the goal of it is to get the public input on the terminal. We have so many travelers that are using the building. We want to make sure as we construct this that we're putting all the amenities that our passengers want. We want to make sure that we're not missing anything, that, simple things can be like everybody travels with the phone and computer as we are doing this call. They want to make sure they're properly charged. So knowing what kind of charging devices, what kind of power outlets are needed. How about food service? Looking at what things for food service people would want in the terminal, private spaces to conduct calls. Really, we want the community to make this their airport and to give us that input. And that's what that night's all about, is to bring your ideas on how we can make sure your passenger experience is great. Because we know that in July and our peak times of the year, our building is full, and we know that's a challenge, and we want to make sure we ease those challenges and improve the passenger experience.
And again, that public forum is Tuesday, December 3rd. We do have more information on our website, UpNorthLive.com. And really quick, Kevin, before you go, with the holidays right around the corner, what advice do you have for folks flying in and out of Cherry Capital Airport around the holidays?
Well, always come early. We would recommend being 2 hours early, because those that check baggage, airlines cut off their time at 45 minutes prior to departure. So make sure you're there early if you're checking baggage. Also, be very patient, because holiday travel is busy and lots of new travelers happen during that time of year. Don't wrap your gifts. If you're bringing gifts, in case security has to take a look at them, don't wrap the gifts. Also, food items and anything that you think that you want to bring that you're unsure of, go to tsa.gov. They have all the information on those items. And lastly, download your airline app for all the latest information on flight times. And if you can't do that, download the airport website at tvcairport.com, and you can always get up-to-date flight information for those flights in Traverse City.
All right, good to know, Kevin. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm really happy we were able to make that conversation work and telling us a little more about this Addition project and what to expect for holiday traveling. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll check back in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Some of us may be seeing the first snowfall of the season tonight. For more on that, let's bring in meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. But Joe, I think something important you keep mentioning is the ground is still very warm, so it probably won't stick.
You know, it's slushy. Let's call it that for some areas tomorrow in the morning. And then, you know what? I think by the afternoon, this system is going to move out of here, and we may even see a little sun tomorrow afternoon.
Oh,
briefly.
All right, we'll take it.
Not for too long. Let's go to Grand Traverse County. Yeah, there's the view over Herkner Road. That was taken earlier today, some of the farmland there. And a couple of the subdivisions. Leaves long gone. Brown, no snow on the ground here. Maybe in this area a little bit. Coming up tomorrow, we will see how that plays out. Here's what's going on weather-wise. We do have an area of low pressure over Lake Huron tonight. That is going to so usually our weather goes from west to east across the country, but this low has another idea. It's actually going to go east to west and cross right over northern Michigan later tonight. Now we have rain, and it's mainly rain currently across northern Michigan. There's some snow back in Wisconsin where it's cooler. It's an interesting system because it's colder down here. It's snowing in Illinois tonight, around Chicago even, while we have mainly rain. Although right here, I'm going to stop the radar imagery, kind of centered around Grayling up toward Gaylord now, a little snow is trying to mix in. You can see the purple shaded areas here. So, there's Crawford County, Frederick, north of Roscommon, and then back up toward Gaylord tonight. That's where there is a little bit of snow. So as we take a look here, let's take a look at Stormcast. Let's start with that. Overnight, there's right now. We'll kind of slide this through. The pink is a rain-snow mix from the UP, Mackinac County, all the way down toward Alpena. Purple is snow, green is rain. So if you say you're in Sault Ste. Marie, primarily rain up there, which is interesting because you're further north. And then we'll run this out into the morning. So kind of a rain-snow mix on the roads tomorrow morning. You can see that there. And then this low is going to peel away. Watch what happens to this. Right there, it goes away. And so we should see a mostly cloudy sky as we get into the afternoon and evening hours. Still maybe a shower or two. And then Friday, not a lot of rain, but a couple showers are possible Friday. And it does look pretty cloudy. If you're wondering about snow totals, here's what we're thinking. Inch or two. And some of that's going to melt. And a lot of that will be late tonight, tomorrow morning. Extended forecast. Not a lot of rain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but it looks pretty cloudy. The clouds are going to hang tough. A couple showers Friday, Saturday, and then as we inch closer to Thanksgiving next week, notice Tuesday and Wednesday, temperatures do drop back into the 30s, so it is going to be a little bit cooler, Maya.
A whole lot of clouds.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Thanks, Joe. We're going to take a quick break, but stay with us. Sports is next. You're watching Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. Boyne City is back in the high school football state semifinals for the third time in program history, and sports director Harrison Beebe caught up with the coach.
You were very optimistic about this season and about your competitiveness and your ability to achieve a lot of things this year, and you definitely have, and the year is not over yet. So how do you assess the season so far?
I think that's a pretty accurate assessment of what we thought when we started camp this year. We had some kids that were going to be able to do some stuff. We didn't know where we were going to be. Our expectations were to try to make a run at it, and here we are.
I know you told me a couple of weeks ago when I was out there for the Nagani game, I was like, I'm only here for the first half. I'll appreciate as many touchdowns as I can get. You harped on, well, we're kind of a second half team, and that was on full display against Reed City. So tell me a little about that motivating factor going down early on the road against a really tough opponent.
When we're preparing for another team, a lot of times they're going to show us a different look than we've seen on film. And it takes them a little while to adjust to it, but they're really good at understanding the process and the fact that if we can hold on, that we'll be there in the end.
Division 6 semifinal, your opponent, Lansing Catholic, on paper, as far as a program, they have a pretty nice one. They've won a lot of state titles, most recently in, I believe, 2021.
The thing that we have for us is there's no stage too big for our kids. They're not worried about it. They don't care who they're playing. They don't care if they're on the road. They don't care where they've been ranked in the state or anything like that. They understand that we're a pretty good football team, and if we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win in the fourth quarter.
And really quick, before we go, we just found out that Tarek Skubal did indeed win the AL Cy Young Award this evening. So I'm sure Harrison Beebe, sports director, will have much more on that tonight at 11. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll check it back in with our question of the day and the live results in just a couple of minutes.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Let's take one last look at our question of the day and the live results. What airport do you typically fly out of? 57% say Traverse City, 23% Grand Rapids, 19% Detroit Metro, and only 1% Chicago. We have quite a few comments on our Facebook page, but a lot of people are saying Traverse City. Yes, we may pay more out of Traverse City, but it saves time and hassle of having to drive 200 to 300 miles, stay overnight, and get a hotel to catch an early flight. A lot of people are saying they'll pay extra for the convenience. That'll do it for our show tonight on Unscripted. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.